If you've been following this playthrough for a few videos, then you know that we've been really focused on building this downtown area, and we have a few new buildings that have come into this area. This one right here is one that I downloaded on the Steam platform, and it just builds into high-density office areas. So it's not something that you can place, not like this one right here, which is the transportation tower, or this one right here, which is the solo. Oh, excuse me, we're just going to resume the game here. There we go. But we can't, so this is going to be the Gold Woman Investments. I mean, that's awesome. I love that name. They need 17 highly educated people. They have 18. They need 10 well-educated people. They have 6. They have 2 just educated people. They didn't really have a need for that. No one who's uneducated. So we almost have not enough well-educated people, but too many highly educated people. So our city is overqualified for this. But you know what? I will take it. I will take it. But this downtown area, especially some of these offices, are really starting to fill in. I just love the architecture of that beautiful curve. And you can see this is sort of coming into its own, this waterfront area. I think the city is really turning out, especially in this downtown area. But in the last few episodes, we've been expanding down to the south side of the city, and I think that it's time that we do a couple of things down here. First off, we really need to fill in this area. So I was thinking about building some suburbs down here, putting in some low-density residential, and seeing if we can use that to sort of build up this commercial and office area over here. And then the other thing I wanted to focus on today was building up some forestry, and we did in the last episode buy this tract of land, and it does have some rather large forested areas on it, and so we're going to see what we can do. Unfortunately, forested areas are very similar to farms in that they require uneducated workers, and we have an incredibly robust experience going on here for our city. We have a lot of universities. I think we have 3 universities. We have multiple high schools, tons of elementary schools. So we're going to have a little bit of a hard time filling the need for uneducated workers. But we'll see what we can do. Last time we built a little bit in this area of the city. This is the Opera House. And we filled it in with a little bit of a commercial district, a little bit of towers, and you can see that it is starting to fill in. So this is turning into quite the picturesque neighborhood. We do have a little bit of work to do over here to really make this prettier. I think we need to put in some trees and really try and make this riverfront, some places livable, some places exciting for people to go. But we do have our train station here. Integrating really nicely into the city, not taking up a lot of space, and going down to this one right here. So let's see if we can actually follow this in first person and go through the tunnel. That seems like first person in tunnels is a little glitched. That's great. We'll come up here though and just unload, or I guess we'll fly through here. We'll go into another tunnel, which again is just glitched. But we'll come out and I think go across the bridge here. And that's a little mod I've been working on with the first person view. And so that train is actually going right down there and we were riding on that. So let's start focusing on building out this area of the city and building up some suburbs to really support the residential needs of the city. I think we're going to start off first by building, I guess, a straight road that comes down here. And that way we have something to build a grid off of, something to actually make use of this space and really maximize what we're getting. But we are going to use a curved road to create something, and at this point we'll just go into sort of free mode, that comes down the coast and connects onto there. So it's not the prettiest thing that I've ever created, but it is functional, and I think that it will make it easy for people to get to and from this port, and for people who are coming into the city through the port, through the harbor, to access multiple areas of the city. We already have it so that they can take this train, they can hop on, and they can easily get all the way over to this side of town very quickly. And so that's something that I think is going to benefit tourism and getting people around the city. But for now, I think we're just going to focus on the suburbs. And when I was thinking about this, I've been really struggling with how to fill this out in a way that is meaningful. There's a few different ideas that I've had. One of them is focused on continuing to have this sort of curved structure. It doesn't utilize the space as efficiently as a grid would, but it is something that it does look very nice, I think. So if we do a curved road and we just go out, the thing about this is that it's actually really hard to make these sorts of curved roads. There are videos that you can watch online that will show you in depth how to make these sorts of things happen. This area in particular might be a little bit difficult because we do need to be very precise. We basically have one spot that we can get out, and hopefully we won't have to destroy this, but we do have a university, we have a high school, and we have a shared soccer field in between. Space is already occupied. What about over here? Is space occupied there? No. Okay, so we were able to get a road out there. I really wish we were able to get a road here, but we're just not able to do it. What can we do about that? What can we do? Maybe we can just go up this way. That might go a little bit too close, because it's blocking us from doing our next road. So we're going to delete a section here and come up, but not all the way. Right there should get us that. Okay, so this should give us a road that we can come off of. See, this is where it's going to be tricky, because we can go here, I think. And now we can try and build a curved road. This is not going to be the most picturesque road situation, is my guess. But let's see. We probably want a straight road here. You know what, though? The suburbs don't always need to be straight lines and grids. I think that that's something that, you know, is okay for this area of the city, to waste a little bit of space. I don't think that went far enough. So let's bring this out a little bit more, maybe here. We need a straight road. There we go. I think that'll be it. And then it's too much curve. Maybe a little less curve. There we go. And then let's see if we can just bring something off of here and connect it. It's gonna waste a little bit of space, but it's a little janky. It's a little janky, but that's okay though. I think that the best way to fill this in is going to be with a brush tool like this. And now that I think about it, we'll probably actually just want to delete the one that we just put down. That was some low density residential. Let's get some offices, make sure that this side of the street is filled, and then we'll have a little bit of high density residential, just so that we can try and taper off the city area here going into the suburbs. I'd like to try and have a more natural progression as we work our way through that area of the city. So we'll go down in there. We'll cross back to this main street, which will probably end up putting commercial on, just since that's such a main road for traffic to get to and from the freeway from the suburbs. But that should be really easy for us to do with the fill tool. So we can take that one out and that one out and that one out and put in some high density commercial there and some low density commercial here. If we use the square tool, we should be able to match it. And just one more right there. We're leaving some space for some roads to come through, but these roads over here are a little bit less important, since they won't necessarily be connecting to the freeway. They may, because it is pretty easy to build a connection like this. The thing is that if you build them too close to each other, then they do start to get a little bit complicated. So you see we had to, in this one, build a little bit of a bridge, or I guess go underneath this bridge here in order to connect. And it does end up looking a little janky. It's not as pretty as the first one that we put in, but it is functional and it does provide people a way to get in and out of the city from back here, which is hopefully going to help with some of the congestion that we were having in here in the sort of the depths of this downtown area. I'm really excited for some larger buildings to start popping up in here. Looks like we have a few that are just thinking about coming in. But nothing as big as sort of out there, especially our downtown area that's just off in the distance. It does look like we got some new buildings out here, so I want to come over and take a look at what's happening. This is out by our train station and out by the tower that we put in, the Space Needle. These are actually some really big buildings. And what are they? What sort of zone are they? These are office towers. That's great. This one looks like it has a helipad and a park on top. What a spectacular spot in the city. You are at that point higher than the Space Needle. That's pretty exciting for whoever gets that office. I would love that, but we'll probably never get it. That's okay, because we are building a city, and we can say that all of the spaces in this city belong to us. But this area is coming in really nicely. It looks like we're getting nice diversity of office buildings. It's interesting, it's sort of building up on this side of the freeway, which we haven't seen before. We haven't seen a lot of density come in here. There's been a little bit of these old style buildings, and we've had high density set up here for a long time, but nothing's really been coming in. So that's really exciting, and I think it shows that our downtown really is coming into its own. But we also have a couple different areas. There's sort of the main downtown area right here in the center, and then we sort of have the Magnolia district out here next to this university and this very beautiful, this is sort of like the Berkeley area, so we're going to try and keep that low density for as long as possible. Looks like we are running into some issues with the water system out here though, so we just want to make sure that we are covering our bases and making sure that we're prepared for this expansion. So let's just drag these pipes all the way out and make sure that we're able to cover everywhere that we're going to be building, at least for the next episode or two. Because we were able to set ourselves up earlier by setting these pipes 440 spaces away from each other, we are able to cover this area in pipes very quickly, and I think that that's going to be a success. If we can bring, maybe? That's not... Right there. There we go. There we go! Okay. Now I'll just cover up here in case we decide to build next to the freeway. Connect it here. And just a little jog. Just a little jog. We'll maybe even put something out there, because we are going to go out there and build our forestry area, and that is going to require a significant amount of water. Looking at our water availability, we're actually way ahead of what we need, and our sewage treatment, we are clearly in the green. We have a huge sewage treatment plant going down here, and it does seem like that is able to handle the outflow from the city as well. And then when you think about the water supply, we do have this dam up here that we built much earlier in the playthrough. This has been, if you look at our power, we have almost double the power that we need for this city. And all of that has to do with this dam, which is also where we're getting our fresh water from. So we want to try and keep this area nice and pristine. The other benefit that we've had to this dam that we've created is that our river has not flooded on us, at least again. So that's been really nice to have our roads stay dry and above water. You do see we are starting to build a little bit up here. I want to have some way for the freeway to cross and for us to be able to expand over into this area, and for people to be able to get around quickly and easily, but I don't think that we're at that point yet. So let's continue down here with expanding our suburbs. But we are starting to run low on our residential demand, so we don't want to go too deep into this, because we do want to make sure that we are setting our city up for success. You don't want to have too many workers, you don't want to have too many jobs and not be able to fill those workers. So if we just keep building residential, we will have too many people in the city and not enough jobs for them, and that can be a problem. We do want to, since this is a brand new area of the city, we do want to focus on building up some education. We'll put in a little elementary school, but they are right next to a high school and a university, so I'm not too worried about their ability to get the education that they need. Maybe we'll just put it right. Yeah, that doesn't really cover everything. There's not a lot of good positions for us to cover this entire neighborhood. This may require 2 elementary schools. We can put one there, and then we want one down here. And we can put it right next to the high school. Hopefully that won't get in the way of expanding a road. If we do a straight road, let's see. Looks like that will work out perfectly. So we'll just expand this straight down. Probably to there. And that will allow us to just sort of grid this area up quickly. And I think what we can do here is connect it to this main road with a little bit of a curve. So it's a little janky, it's not the most efficient use of our space here. Maybe if we have a little, that's too far, a little jut into here, like this. And that does use a little bit more of the space. And this does give us an area to put in some of this high density commercial that we've been needing. We'll just paint it. We'll use the paint tool, since that is a really good way of filling in some of these areas, especially on the curved roads. But in places that are gridded out, it's very easy to just simply use the fill tool, since they do fill themselves in quite nicely. Since we are working with high density here, we are going to make sure that all of this that is connected to it is high density. Right here, I think we're going to put some high density residential around the high school. They'll really enjoy living here, and we'll make a little extension of the office area down to here, and then we'll add a little bit of low density right here, and this is just going to start transitioning into the suburbs again. So there are a few things that I'm thinking about. One is we have a big gap in here, and I'd love to do something with that, with some paths and some trees, and maybe have some sort of path that goes from these parks over here, and from the schools could walk over here. That way people have a nice way of walking through their neighborhood on some nice recreational paths. We do have a fire going on down here. Let's take a look at this. What's happening? This house is burning down. But the fire station is here. We do have a fireman. And they were able to take care of that house. Hopefully the one next door that's being built wasn't damaged. Looks like it's fine. We do have some construction coming in. It's pretty slow. It's not as fast as we've seen, but that's okay because there isn't a huge demand for residential at the moment. We are having some issues over here though with employers. They say not enough workers. They're really looking for the uneducated, and they have too highly educated people. So this is one of the problems that we're going to experience with the city, especially if we're doing things like low density commercial, which is this, or if we start doing some of the logging over here, we're going to run into that same problem where our workers are just too highly educated for the jobs that are available. So we'll just continue with the residential here. We'll see if people fill that in. And I think for now, that deals with a lot of the demand that we had. I'm not going to deal with this demand for industrial or office space because what I really want to force our office space to do is take advantage of the zones in the city which it already inhabits. So there's a big office park down here on the other side of that university area and right here. So they both have high educated workers, hopefully feeding into these two areas. Right here is just really big. Down here is coming in, and then up here in the Maple District is coming in with offices as well. So we have a lot of office space in this city, and I want them to build up instead of building out. So we're gonna sort of squeeze them a little bit and hope that they will build some density instead of building some sprawl. So I think this is going to suffice for now, at least in this area. We do want to check that they have some healthcare. Looks like they don't. And so maybe we can add a hospital down here. Perhaps right here. I think that looks like a great spot for a hospital. We do want a crematorium, some way for them to get rid of their dead, to burn the dead. There is a small space in here. These roads are very close to each other, but I want something that's accessible down here. So we're just going to put the crematorium right behind the university. Maybe I'd like to think that they can use the cadavers for some of their biology programs or something. So it's a win-win. When we look at the fire coverage, we have awful, just atrocious fire coverage down here. So let's see what we can do about that. That area is just going to be tough. And honestly, we should not have anything on that. We shouldn't have any buildings on that because that's a freeway exit. We don't, there's no way to get on it except to come from this way on the freeway. And that involves going all the way down to our original area of the city to get on and then riding the freeway down just to get to your business. So if you're right here, that you would have to go all the way down to the other side of the city and then back. So that's just a bad area. It meant that we weren't going to get the sort of coverage that we needed with things like fire. But this area down here, I don't think we need a whole fire station. We might just want a little firehouse since it's sort of a low density residential area. We could build it right here off of the main road, and I think that's probably what we'll do in this commercial area. So we'll just plop it down right there. We may even just move this one over. Oh man, I went two over. One over. There we go. So that should give us the you know, I'm actually going to move it back to where I'm just throwing money away. There we go. But we do have almost $1 million saved up, so I'm not too worried about our money situation at this point. But it looks like our suburbs are starting to come in. We'll continue to expand out this way, but with this curved road structure, it is going to take a little bit of work to make sure that they are aligned. So we'll come back to that in a bit, because right now it's time to focus on building out some forestry. And what I was thinking, we don't necessarily want a huge bridge going out to this forestry area, at least not right now. And so we're going to see if we can expand. Looks like you can't make bridges with the dirt road, so we will have to make it a concrete road. If we go from right here, it doesn't look like we're able to build a bridge. We could like come down this way and then build a bridge over that way, you know, like that. But I don't think that's what we want to do. So maybe we'll... What are we gonna do? I think maybe delete that. So, sorry farmers. I know. That's probably not what you wanted. But... that's okay. Let's continue this curve because that's really pretty, I think. I think that's a nice way of doing the bridge and a good way of expanding this in a way that is fitting to the city. So we can make even a little curve here, and then we're probably going to want to go into a straight road right up through the forest. So that's going to be our main road. Since it is a main road here, I think what we're going to do... Man, I sort of wish that we'd gone off that one, but it wasn't. You know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Oh, it's so sad because that was really a beautiful road. So build this bridge right over the city, drop it down, and then use a curved road. But before we do that, we want to destroy that because we want to have a nice even curve. So we'll go out one and we'll just go straight over to there. So that's a nice even curve. And then we'll upgrade this road so that way there's a nice straight path to get into this farming area. And you can see that the area that we expanded last episode where we built up some of this that was farm area and we turned it into some high density residential. You can see that they just gobbled that up. Already we have some very tall buildings in that area. So I can't say how long the rest of this farm is going to last, but it's really tricky because we don't really have much farm available in the city. Maybe we have a little bit out here. We could sort of have this be the rural side of the city and just get rid of that farming area. But I really like it though. I mean, I tried to get rid of it last time and I could only bring myself to get rid of one grid worth of it. And yeah, so let's take a look here though with the forestry. Forestry is something that you have to make a district for. So we'll start by building a new district and by just selecting a forestry area. But I think we need to fill in the district first, so we'll just fill in here and over this way. And then we need to make sure that we are building in this area. And anything that we zone as industrial will turn into a forestry system. So we don't have the uneducated workforce to support a huge forestry area like this. We could honestly build like a little township out here, and that may be something that we do, something that doesn't have a big education system that can sort of feed the workers into this. But since we don't have that yet, we are just going to build a small forestry area, and we're just going to put some dirt roads out here, and these are going to be sort of free form. It will come off, I think, in a straight way, something like that, and then quickly turn into something a little bit more exciting because we sort of want to follow the path of this forest. I think we can curve it down here, come back up through the forest here, and connect using a straight road. So there we go. That'll be our little forest area. I think we may also want to fill in some of these areas, but what we want to focus on is having one path, one main road for these large industrial trucks carrying all of these logs to come through. And we don't want to really create a large grid system that's going to back up traffic or things like that. But we do want to try and maximize some of this this forestry area in here. And so we'll just create a few little paths. Try and get this curve right here. Seems like that ought to do it, and that should allow us to bring this up here. Just sort of matching. If you look closely, you can see the grid. I'm just trying to follow the grid from the previous road. That way we're not digging into it, but we are staying close to it. So we are using the space to its maximum potential, but still creating something that's beautiful and something that's exciting to look at. As we start to get out here, we need to think about how people are going to get in and out of this inner circle. So we may turn it into some sort of cul-de-sac. Something like that. And to utilize this, you know what, we're gonna leave that space in the center right now for now. We could bring in something and you know, do a little loop in here in the center. Maybe let's see. But I'm worried that that's gonna be too much. It's gonna be too much space. So it does look nice, and that's sort of what we're going for. We do have some areas over here, so we'll just bring this in and run it along the back of this path over here. That curve looks like it was too steep, so we need to redo that one. Close that down and try again. Here we go. So we do want it to curve, not too much, just enough, and I'm having a hard time getting the right snapping. I think it has, honestly, I think we just need to redo that whole road. So let's see what we can do. That's a little bit nicer. It does give us the right angle that we need. There we go. There we go. How do we want to do this area? And bring it down. And... man, I'm not liking that. I'm not liking it. Maybe does this area stay? What can we do? We could bring it off of here. That might be a way to do it. If we just bring it out here, we can rotate it, make some good use of this space out here. Maybe use a straight. Oh, I just want it to be right there, but it won't do it. It won't do it. Sometimes you just gotta fiddle. You just gotta fiddle with the roads, especially if you want to be picky, and especially if you want to make something that is gonna match your vision. So that should actually work really well. That should get us almost perfectly aligned. But it's still giving us that same sort of problem. So we'll just make as straight a road as possible there and then curve it sharply. Here, bringing it up this way. And we're gonna want to connect it to these paths in the middle. Because if we don't, then people are going to use this as a through street, and that's really not what we want to do. But I think we can connect it there. It's sort of a interesting shape, I guess, but it will make some good use of the area in here for forestry. So we'll go ahead and just zone a few of these. Again, we don't want to go too nuts with this area. We don't want to go whole hog and make it one big forestry area, because we just don't have the education. We don't have the uneducated population to make something like that happen. But if we do a few that are interspersed out here, we are going to have to do the power a little bit more manually. but I'm hoping that we'll get something that is sustainable, that we can grow over time as we build a few townships and things like that outside of the main city. Maybe just one there, and one there. And they do need some water. We do have one growing in already. And so we're just gonna... we're not gonna worry about a grid too much because we're gonna try and actually preserve a lot of this area later on. So we don't really need to focus on maximizing our density here. Really just on maximizing our natural resources and getting the most out of it. You can see right there, there's a little logging area. So that's pretty exciting. I think that hopefully that will build up nicely. It doesn't look like it requires power, which is fantastic because bringing power lines over here would be a big pain in the butt. One thing I'm noticing now with our suburbs, though, is that we are having some trash issues. So I'm not sure what that is about. Looks like we may want to build an incinerator over here. The thing is, this is going to cause pollution. It's just not going to be pretty. We could build it out here. It doesn't really make this area green, which is what we're lacking. Right now, any truck trying to empty garbage has to come across this bridge or this bridge. They would have to come all the way probably down here. This isn't that far. They just go down the main road on the bank, take these. That's a couple right-handed turns, and then you're there. This shouldn't be that difficult. But unfortunately it is. I don't know if we're going to be able to put an incinerator plant over here. Maybe down here. As just like a temporary solution. Because we don't want to have trash problems. So that should be covered by water. We brought some electricity out. Hopefully that will help with some of that in the city. One thing though that we should do is look at this. Emptying finished, so we'll stop emptying that one, we'll stop emptying that one, and we'll stop emptying that one. You, meanwhile, are full, and so we'll start emptying you. There is a mod that you can get that just toggles those automatically, because in the late game it does get a little tedious to manage all of your landfills, and you have to start doing the same thing with cemeteries as well. So you have all the cemeteries, they fill up with dead bodies, and then you have crematoriums that you can empty those dead bodies into eventually. It is complaining about power. The forestry area needs some power. So let's see what we can do about getting some power over here. I wish that there was a way to see what power is needed, and see where the power lines are going, while at the same time seeing where I've zoned it, because I don't want to break the zones that I've created. So I think if I go down along this road, I can... I'll just go in here so we're not taking up that much space, down to the corner, and then I think if we go along this road and then across the street, that should get that one. And it looks like we didn't take out any of, or maybe a little bit there, but we didn't take out too much of the available forestry area. As that fills in, we will have to move more of these power stations in. And you know what, now that I'm actually thinking about it, I think we want to use... we have windmills. This was an app, or this was a mod that I downloaded, but we could put in some windmills out here. I believe that they do provide power. They need a road, though. They need a road going to them. So that's something that we could do. We'll demolish it for now. The other thing that is available that is very helpful is an electricity substation. And what this does is it allows us to transfer power across larger areas like this. without having to do power lines. And so if you look at it here, you can sort of see a trail of substations, but you don't see these overground power lines. So if we do, let's just take a look at the power grid really quick. So we can actually delete this that we just created. I know. But that should give us at least an in, and then we can focus on building that up as needed with some of those substations. So that should be the forestry area. What should we name this area? Because I think that we can name it, right? Franklin District. I mean, for now we're just gonna say maybe this is the forest preserve. Although I don't know how we're preserving it when we're putting in so much logging and things like that, but hopefully that will... Oh, we did not successfully do it. Trying again. There we go. Forest preserve. And we hit return. If we look at the policies here, what do we want to focus on? I think some water usage, some power usage. We want to make sure that they're being safe using smoke detectors. We don't have any parks. Maybe we have a smoking ban in this area, just try and prevent fires. Tax relief for... we don't have anything like that, but we could do this as industrial space planning. This allows industry to work even more efficiently by overlooking a few work safety laws, doubles the amount of good produced by industry buildings, and increases the upkeep. So that is something that we can do. We're also going to have a high-rise ban. Not that that's necessarily needed. We don't have anything that would build high-rises, but that is something that just for the future we want to make clear that in the forest preserve we do not allow high-rises. But we do have a few lumber yards coming in. We have a couple of these little logging areas. It looks like they plant and then they cut them down, and then they take the logs and they convert them into little pieces of wood. Let's actually look at this area. So they require 16 uneducated workers, and they have 2 highly educated workers. So this is basically 2009 United States economy, where we have a need for these, we have some openings, maybe 2010, maybe 2011. We have job openings, but the education levels, the skill levels just aren't matching. And hopefully that won't be too big of an issue, but in future episodes, we could focus on building up a small town out here. This could also support this town, which we could build out here. We have a nice flat area to do. That could also support a farming community over here on some of this grazing land, which would allow us to free up the grazing land in the city and expand that as well. Eventually, we'll probably add a freeway entrance and exit over here, allowing trucks quick access to and from the forestry area. And, if we do that, that will probably be when we remove this area right here. But for now, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. We are on the up and up. We do have 40,800 people, and we are growing by over 100 per week. So that's really exciting. We have $1.2 million in the treasury, and we're making $19,000 per week. We are making bank with this city, and it is just continuing to grow and grow and grow. And you can see this office area down here is just really starting to look nice. This is really beautiful, I think. So let's maybe even take a screenshot of this. This could end up being the thumbnail for the episode. There we go, a nice little screenshot. We could even move it over this way and get that in there as well. So there's another screenshot as well. So that area of the city is really coming into its own and is starting to look nice. Our residential area out here, our suburbs, they are beginning. They're starting to fill in and grow, but we have a long way to go. we have a long way to go to fill out this whole area. This is a big project to build this area of the map, and we do need to be careful because we have an incinerator out here that is already starting to pollute. But for now, I hope that you've enjoyed the video. I hope that you, if you have, please hit the like button. It really does help out a great deal. If you like the stream, I've been streaming for at least the next probably week or so before school starts, and then we might start doing some stuff on the weekends. But I hope that you've enjoyed it so far. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the like button if you like the video, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and until next time, I'm Grishno, and I'll see you later.